Okay, Turok is definitely one of the video games right now. Accelerate your 3D animation. Oh, hey, listener. Just popping in here real quick to say that David and I pulled a sneaky on ourselves and accidentally recorded his webcam audio for the first half an hour-ish of the podcast. So just know that that'll clear up after about 30 minutes. And if you just can't stand it, then yeah, just go ahead and skip ahead. Podcast on. Keep on podcasting. What's the phrase to get the music back? Go podcast. David, if you were making a video game stew, what do you think you would put in it?
Ooh, great question.
Just a little brain teaser to get us warmed up for the podcast.
Well, definitely I would start with a nice water base. Just water.
Okay.
Maybe sure, a water Pokemon.
It's a stew.
A water starter. I'm going to choose Froakie.
Okay, yeah.
Froakie, because I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be new. Yeah. So nice Froakie water base.
Okay.
Maybe throw in just a little bit of some beef broth. Who's beefy? Who's a big beefy boy in video games? Kratos?
Kratos is pretty beefy. Oh god. What's the dude's name from Final Fantasy? Gun hand guy. You know, Barrett.
Okay,
Barrett's pretty beefy.
I'll throw in some Barrett, because that's also close to beef.
Yeah.
Barrett, beef, close enough.
I'll just, since we have that one figured out, I will close the video game hunks Google that I just did.
You need to share that screen with me the next time you do that. I want to see. Throw in some carrots. So I think Tails would be good for carrots, because it's kind of like some baby carrots, you know? Like Tails is a little young orange creature thing.
Are we just throwing in like the idea of these characters?
Yeah.
Or are we literally okay?
Yeah. Idea.
I feel pretty rough about putting like both human and Tails in a stew. But if we're just like putting...
But Froakie's fine, Chase? Wow.
Hey, Froakie just provided the water. He's fine. He's sitting outside.
Oh no, Froakie's in there, baby. This is a frog stew. Sure. Frog, beef, and carrots.
God. Okay, so if we're working in metaphors, do you put anything else in there, or are you just doing a little carrot beef stew?
Carrot beef, maybe a little bit of barley.
Barley,
okay. Beef barley stew. You ever had that?
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's a hearty meal. A hearty meal.
So barley being like a grain.
Grain. Yeah, the grain barley.
What video game character or concept do we feel like is particularly grainy?
For some reason, I really just want to throw Solid Snake in there.
That was my thought, David. That was absolutely my thought.
Was it really?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Yeah, well,
he's
Snake's
grainy.
Going in. Are we doing Old Snake or Solid Snake?
I think Solid Snake is more grainy. The sounds he was making in those first couple games were particularly grainy.
Okay, yeah, we'll throw him in there. He'll be our barley grain.
Great, you got a stew going.
Got a stew going, baby.
We're gonna make a stew.
It's good. Nice hearty beef and barley stew with carrots.
The name of this stew, we are going to call it Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimists video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of video game stew. My name is Chase, and do you think curry counts as stew? I don't think it does. It doesn't have to like sit as long, right?
I don't. That's a great question. I think all curries are stews, but all stews are curries, I guess.
If curries count, and I may be being colored by the fact that I literally just had penne curry for dinner, then I think my favorite curry or my favorite stew would be curry. That's a pretty
solid stew.
I love that.
Nice long simmered. What kind of curry do you like?
I mean, I feel like most kinds of curry are generally delicious, but like a Thai curry is kind of my jam.
Thai curry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like it spicy? Do you like it creamy? Do you like it?
I definitely like it spicy. Like if they can get it pretty hot, that's my shit. But I feel like Panang curry uses coconut milk. It like just makes it so creamy and delicious.
A little bit of cream. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Very good.
That's
very
good stuff.
What is your name, sir?
My name is David. I'm gonna say my favorite stew, besides a good old beef and barley. would be chupe de camarones. It's a Peruvian
hell
stew.
yeah.
Peruvian stew my grandmother would make. Super good.
Hell yeah.
It's got
Love
shrimp. It's got
Ooh.
potatoes. It's got corn on the cob. It's got...
Is the cob in there?
It's got like the mini... Yeah. It's got like sliced up corn on the cob pieces in there.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy
Sounds
stew.
delicious.
I think there's carrots and there's onions. It's crazy stew.
Shouts out Peru, as always.
Shouts out Peru.
Your mere presence makes it a shout out to Peru every episode, but this one is explicit. My friend David, have you been playing video games?
I've been playing the same damn games, Jez. I'm such a basic bee right now with my games. Yeah. It's just Rocket League and Hades. I can't stop Hades. Yeah. I spent all of Saturday trying to play other games, and I just came back to Hades each time. I was just like...
Yeah.
What did I play on Saturday? I tried getting back into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Good game. Not as good as Hades. I tried to get into... what did I try to play? Oh, God. Subnautica.
Yep.
Not as good as Hades.
It's true.
One other game I tried to play. Oh, shoot. What was it? Overwatch?
Yeah.
Not as good as Hades. I couldn't break it. I'm just totally at its will right now.
Yeah. I feel like most of the video game podcasts that I pay attention to that don't just do like one specific game a week, whenever they hit Hades, there's like a couple of months where most of them are just like, that's all I'm doing still. That is the only thing that I want to do ever anymore.
It's bad. I got it bad.
Yeah.
I got it bad right now.
Down pretty bad for Hades, man. I get it.
Yeah. There's so much story that I feel like I haven't unearthed yet with like Eurydice and Orpheus.
Yep.
What's going to happen between Olympus and the underworld? I gotta find out. I gotta keep going. And I still haven't gotten all the hidden weapon aspects, so I gotta get those.
Oh, sure.
I'm barely done. I rolled credits, but this ain't over.
Even after I rolled credits and like kind of felt like I was good with the story, I just found myself still playing fucking Hades. It just never stops. Like, it's impossible to put that game down. It was the only thing powerful enough to break me of my Slay the Spire marathon last year.
Now you're back.
Yeah,
I've seen you a couple times already.
Playing it once again. Every now and then I'll like be playing Slay the Spire before bed and see it like 11:30. David's online playing Hades, motherfucker. And I'm sure like
that's what I think of you. Like, Chase is playing
every
Slay
time.
the Spire. I don't even check anymore. If you're on late on the Switch, you're playing Slay the Spire for certain.
It's a very comforting video game to play before bed. Love it.
I believe it. Hades is not comforting. Hades is a bad game to play before you go to bed. Don't do it, everybody else. Don't be like me. Save yourselves.
Well, any new thoughts about the game after last week? I feel like you had rolled credits last week, and you're kind of just digging around. Is that sort of the same thing this week, or anything new?
Yeah, I'm still just really impressed by how fresh they're able to keep the game each playthrough. Yeah, there's always just new dialogue and new things to explore, and I'm really getting into the different modifiers on the Pact of Punishment that make things different. Just play a different boss, essentially. You know, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. So as you get more powerful, you can make the game harder to your desire, which is a nice way to handle a scaling of difficulty, giving you options to say, I want this type of difficulty, the added wrinkle, like more enemies per encounter.
Yeah.
And I want like 60% more or 20% more. Or maybe I want 20% more, but the first hit they take doesn't do any damage. I want to do a little bit that way. Right. Maybe I want to not do any of that and just make things like super expensive for me to buy, and I just don't buy anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different ways to still tackle the game.
Sure.
Which is fun.
I'm trying to think, what are the heats that you typically put on when you're going through a run? Like, what are your go-tos?
Extreme measures.
Which one is that?
That's the one where it makes the bosses harder.
I always kept that one on. Like,
yeah,
you kind of just get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because after a while, the bosses get a little stale. That's the one thing. Is the bosses did get a little stale after a while. It was still fun to like go at them with different loadouts, but once you start memorizing all their patterns, it just gets pretty easy after a bit. Yeah. So the extreme measures was fun to add on to get a little extra wrinkle.
Sure.
I'll usually do extra amount of people.
Yeah,
in the encounter.
I think I did the same thing. Like if it's already fucked up in there, like why not just throw a few more dudes at me?
Exactly. Yeah, and depending on like what loadout or what weapon I'm using, I'll do the first hit doesn't do any damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm using the fists and I'm going to hit someone like 6 or 7 times in a row,
it doesn't matter.
Go and hit them, doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's an easy one to put on if you're for certain weapons.
Sure.
So those are the ones I would usually probably mess around with.
Nice.
I was doing the things are more expensive one for a bit, but that one can get pretty brutal. You just like can't buy any health at all.
Yeah, you get like
really
one,
be on your game.
one upgrade, and you're like, oh my god, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
I was about to say, insert, oh god, what's his name? Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
That's a year ago now when we watched that. But yeah, still a very enjoyable, interesting game that provides a lot of different choices and scenarios to engage in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Good game.
It's a phenomenal video game. I love it. It's so good.
All right, have you been playing anything, Chase?
I have been. I've been playing mostly 3 things this time. So I know what I said last week was that I was not going to play Returnal anymore. I did not abide by that. I doubled down and I had to beat Returnal. So I've beaten Returnal now.
Nice. Nice. Good job.
Thanks. It was very hard.
I hear that's one you can really put on your gamer resume.
Yeah, I guess so.
You don't want it on there?
I think the mere concept of a gamer resume sort of, I don't know, it rubbed my...
Chase, you can put your gamer score on there.
Okay, hold on. I'm back with you now.
That's pretty much what a gamer resume is. What's your gamer score, baby?
Show me those stats. Show me what you got. Okay, so last time I had talked about this, I think, where was I? I had, gotten to the 5th biome and hadn't yet fought the boss there. As it turns out, there is not a boss there, which is sort of a switch up for the rest of the game. But yeah, there's like essentially like a 6th boss that you go do. And so I beat them, and like it's so weird. This game is so odd because like so many times I would get to some part of the level or something and just get absolutely wiped. Like just the wrong combination of dudes showed up, and I just like got thrown back to the ground, thrown to the first level. And so like that part of it was interesting, but like I fought the final boss twice and did not lose. And I think it's just like the game is much, much harder in its enemy design when it's like you versus a bunch of people. Like the management of just like, I need to see all of the stuff and manage where all the enemies are is much harder than like there's one boss and he's shooting a lot of stuff. There's definitely a lot of stuff coming at you, but like it's just much more manageable to be able to be like, okay, he's done this attack and then he's going to do this attack and then I can kind of go over here. And like I know when, I don't know, it's just more manageable. I think in the way that Dark Souls usually doesn't throw you 100 guys at once. It usually throws you like 3, and then you're like, okay, how do I get around these dudes and like kind of pick them off and fight them one by one? Yeah. Anyway, it was interesting. I think I like this game. I think there's like definitely rough edges on it. But I think overall it was pretty enjoyable. The story gets pretty bananas at a certain point. Like I beat the game and just immediately was like, okay, well, I got to go to YouTube and have some British person explain to me what just happened in this video game.
It really is always a British person.
I don't know if it's just Americans are dumb and don't know how to do these videos or what, but it's usually a welcome to the world of Returnal. That was not a very good British. Hold on. So you've just beaten Returnal, and now you want to know what the fuck just happened. I'm kind of just doing Michael Caine. I don't know.
You sound like Billy the Butcher. Do you watch The Boys?
No, but
I was getting Billy the Butcher vibes for some reason. Voibes?
Voibes.
Voibes. I'm vibing right. I'm vibing hard right now. Voibing horde. God, this beer has gotten you bad.
It's the. I
apologize.
It's the stress of your week. I think has you running at about 200 miles per hour. Whereas I'm.
You know it's bad when you're already this stressed on a Monday.
I'm like just on this like leisurely stroll along the sidewalk, and David is on a full-blown sprint, arms coming up to his fucking head, running down as far as how fast I'm moving.
There is just a ball of flames behind me that I'm just trying to outpace right now.
This game, the story is wild, and like it kind of gets towards like a Lost sort of syndrome at a certain point of like,
sure,
there are a lot of questions and a lot of very weird things happening, and like I think like I have an interpretation of what happened, but I don't think that there's like one answer. And I think like when
Lost.
when I'm thinking of things that are interpretable, I think I like the ones where the story's kind of clear, but just the meaning is interpretable, or where the story is absolutely opaque and almost non-existent and therefore is much more interpretable. So like the two things I'm thinking of are you either have something like Nier Automata, where there are events in this game that are understandable. Like you can point and say this happened, and that happened. It's just sort of what you're extracting from it and like the meaning that you're deriving from it. That is the part that you can say like, oh, well, I took this or I took that part, versus something like Journey, where there is no, like so little story. And so like,
sure,
it's a lot more interpretable around like, what is even happening here? And like, what did you yourself take from it? And it's almost like sort of emergent storytelling where there isn't necessarily one thing that they were trying to say, one plot line that they're trying to communicate. And so either one of those ends is pretty satisfying, but I think Returnal presents a story that is grounded, kind of like, there are things happening and it seems like they're trying to like get to a certain point. I just like, I don't know if I'm just too dumb and didn't get it, but like,
prognosis, too dumb.
Too dumb. It feels like there should be a big reveal or something like that. And that never really happened. Like there's stuff that you're like, whoa, that's pretty fucking wild, but never something that like gives you the key to interpret everything that's happened in the game.
Sure.
So yeah, I think, like I said, I'm definitely not saying that it's like a bad story or anything like that. I think just like I would have liked to have like, this is what happened, or something like that. But all that said, there is like an interpretation of what I saw that I think is pretty interesting and pretty cool.
Can you draw that interpretation?
Like physically?
Yeah, could you draw it?
I guess so. Right now?
Not right now. I'm just wondering.
In general, I guess so.
Is it drawable?
I'm not a very good artist. I can't draw so good.
This is something that I think you need to post to the Twitter, Chase. Chase's interpretation of Returnal.
Just maybe spoilers, but if you can see what I'm trying to draw at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be a dumpster fire, but maybe it'll go on our Twitter. We'll see. So yeah, that's Returnal. I am also still, unsurprisingly, still playing Mass Effect.
Nice.
Still just phenomenal video game. My goodness.
You on 2 or 3 now?
I'm pretty deep into 2 right now. It's really, really a good video game. I am, if anybody has played Mass Effect, I'm like probably like halfway-ish where you've got almost all of your like people on the ship, the people that you want to go like recruit to do your big mission, big space marine mission. So essentially you're still, I've got like 1 or 2 more people that I need to get, but almost there. It's starting to do like kind of the personal side quests for people, which are all really, really good.
Oh, those are so good.
God, it's like, so I've been thinking a lot about Mass Effect just in like how much I've been playing it. And it's really interesting that it was marketed then as a game that was like really paying attention to your decisions and stuff like that. Like that, you know, oh, we're gonna remember all the choices that you make. You know, that it's almost like a trope of the time, right? Like the Walking Dead video games, literally, they will remember that and shit like that. Like mechanically saying like that is a significant thing that just happened. And it's weird because like I get that, you know, not a lot of games were doing that, and so, you know, it may have been sort of a step forward, but a lot of stuff has happened since then, right? Like the Walking Dead is a pretty good example. There are a lot of branching paths in that game. I think it works because it's pretty short. Or even something like Divinity for you, or like Wasteland 3 for me, where like it's so heavy on the RPG stuff that like it really does feel like there's a lot available to you as far as like decision making goes.
Sure.
And like how to influence what happens in the story. And so like that part of it, there have been better examples of it. And so in returning to Mass Effect, like it is interesting to view it from that lens, because that is not really what I'm there for anymore. And like it's much more about like literally just walking around your ship and like, okay, well, what's Jacob doing, or what's Morden got to say?
It's a relationship simulator almost.
Like honestly, I think it is like that is a big part of it. And what I've been trying to like pinpoint is like what what about that is so good, because it is so good. And like, I think sort of what I've come to is like, I don't necessarily care all that much about Shepard at all. Like, they're interesting and like, you know, they serve as sort of this like proxy for the player to engage with the world. But I think it feels like, as I'm playing through this time, that Shepard is much more of like a reflection or a mirror for the other characters in the game, that you can sort of choose how to show up as Shepard as a way to explore these other characters. Like, you know, if I push Morden in this way, how does he react? Who is he? And like, how do I get to know this person? Or like, you know, if Thane is showing me a certain thing. Oh, Thane. Thane Krios. Very cool dude.
Cool guy.
Very cool guy. His whole story is bananas. Like, I won't get into it because it's like new people to the franchise are playing this game, but just so cool.
It's a cool name too, Thane.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like just recruited him. His mission is fun too. The one where you're like going up the tower and like trying to find that chick that he's there to assassinate. And like both you guys get there at the same time. And he like does this whole assassination thing and then like kills the target and then immediately starts praying. And you're like, what does he say? He's like, even the wicked deserve prayers or something like that. And your response as Shepard is like, yeah, she was a pretty wicked woman. And he's like, I'm praying for me, not for her. Like, fuck yes, dude. That is so fucking cool. The coolest shit.
So good. Oh God. The assassin with morals. What a character. Always.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And like, it's wild that they make all that stuff feel very original, despite like a lot of it's just, you know, common character tropes, but they just do it so well. Like, you really care about everybody in there. Anyway, so like, I think when I'm thinking about what is valuable about this game, I think that the way that it handles these relationships and the way that you're able to like explore mechanically, not just saying like, I want to know about this, or what is the Citadel, or something like that, but literally like how you approach these people and how you interact with them sort of like is a cipher that you can ise to view these characters. And it's not normally how stories are told, right? Like usually it's just like a dialogue option to be like, who was your dad, versus like, fuck that decision, I don't like that, and then see how they react to it. So yeah, it is cool. It's a good video game.
Still good.
It's still.
I'm gonna have to get this Legendary Edition, aren't I?
I think so. It's well worth it.
At some point.
If you enjoyed the games thus far, like, I'm sure you'll enjoy revisiting them.
Probably one of my favorite trio of games.
Yeah, I think I would say the same. Like, there's so much to enjoy, and I'm really glad that like it wasn't just rootin', tootin', and shooting. You know, like that. There's a lot to really chew on now. Because you definitely do get different stuff now. Just because, like I said, I think the decision-making stuff isn't as weighty as it was then. And so like my brain is just like, well, what is good about this game? And I think it always has been the character writing, but it's just sort of what they marketed then versus what is actually still very good.
Yeah. It's the world.
Yeah, the world is great.
Characters
are phenomenal. It's wild. So anyway, yeah, it's Mass Effect. Still phenomenal.
Good.
And the last game that I've been playing this week is called Rise of the Slime, David.
Indie Pick of the Week?
Indie Pick of the Week. Would you like to wager a guess what kind of video game this is?
It's a deck-building, roguelike dungeon crawler.
That's pretty much it, baby. That's what it is. This is my kind of video game. Like, I feel like I'm constantly just sniffing around the internet. Like, has anybody put out a new roguelike deck builder? Is anybody out there?
Insatiable.
Just can't stop. I like. There's no form of this game that I don't like.
Is this like your pepperoni pizza video games?
Kinda, yeah. Just always ready to play a game like this. In the same way that I am always ready to enjoy. I'm always ready to be a casual pepperoni pizza enjoyer.
Casual?
Yeah. It's chill. Like, I'm not there to be like, you know, this fucking pepperoni pizza. I'm just like, give me a slice.
But would you, if it was like a bad pepperoni pizza, would you still eat? Would you still touch it?
I maintain that I have not had a bad pizza.
Any pizza.
I mean, like, unless we're including like Lunchables in there, like that's not really a pizza to me, but like fresh hot slice. What pizza place has really ever disappointed? I don't think there have been lesser than, not phenomenal pizzas, but like bad. That's hard to find.
Good point. I bet if you went back to Mission Avenue and had those sourdough bread pizzas that they would feed us.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, this ain't good.
I believe that I would say this ain't good. I would be shocked if I said that was bad. Like, if I was hungry and, like, that was in front of me, I'd be like, yes, please. Save me a slice.
Save me a slice. That's enough slices. Have you seen Anthony Fantano's TikTok?
It's so fucking funny, dude. Good. Save me a slice.
He's already memed himself.
I think Anthony Fantano just like knows how to use the internet pretty well.
He's an internet genius.
Yeah, truly. Anyway, Rise of the Slime really got derailed on pepperoni pizza. It is a roguelite, I think, deck builder. It has a lot of similarities with Slay the Spire. I think a lot of this genre does. It like very much revolves around the stuff that Slay the Spire was doing. So yeah, it's like you play as a little slime dude, and you're like going through levels, and you draft cards after you beat some dudes and build a deck to attack and move. And there's different like deck archetypes, which are all very fun. There's like poison and fire and all that sort of shit.
Sure.
It's incredibly cute. I love the like design aesthetics of it. They're all very good. So yeah, what else about it? It does have some like original stuff that I think does add a lot to it. There is a lot of like movement and positioning mechanics that are pretty cool. Like with Slay the Spire, you're literally just like playing cards to attack. Like that's it.
Sure.
Or defend or whatever, but there's like your positioning on the battlefield doesn't matter in Slay the Spire. Whereas in this one, there is quite a bit of positioning that like changes how you attack people. Like there are cards to move you like sets of units across the map, and like a lot of the terrain will either be like poisoned or on fire or something like that. And so you kind of want to like move around and do different things. You also get like backstab bonuses for being behind someone.
Always good.
Always good. Always good. So there's, I think like that does enough of a twist on it for me to be like, okay, this feels like an original thing, despite, the sort of common ancestry of Slay the Spire. I don't see that as like, any sort of ripoff. It's just like, here's this emerging genre and how are we going to make this one cool?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all of that's really fun. You have like pets that you can take on each run, which are cool. They're just like these little like creatures that float above you that,
all right.
Either, poison a certain area on each turn or put fire on an area each turn, or like it'll play a card of your choosing every time or a bunch of different like twists on it. And so rather than there being these big shifts in different kinds of deck types or deck cards, you essentially just try and like draft one that makes sense with like your pet use and, what you've already got as like your starter deck and shit like that. So it's just, it's good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. It's made by, let me see, Bunkovsky Games, I think. It's just like maybe a one dude operation, maybe a few people. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's cool. I'm enjoying it.
Solid.
As of course I would.
Yeah.
I have.
This is your game.
This is literally the thing that I'm into.
It really is.
Yeah. Every one of the like major releases of this kind of game, I've been like, oh god, this is so phenomenal.
This is the one. This is the one that even is better than Slay the Spire. Like,
obviously, Slay the Spire, I always return to. Griftlands is phenomenal. Monster Train is phenomenal. Dicey Dungeons was really good. Rise of the Slime is really good. Fucking, what was it? Quest Machine. What was that series? SteamWorld Quest was the game.
Yeah.
That one's like not exactly a roguelike, but it is in the deck building genre, and that one was really good too.
Yeah.
There's so fucking much. It's very good. So,
nice.
I think just if one of these games even exists, I'm already like, come on.
You're already there.
Yeah. But this one is really good. So I definitely wanted to shout it out. It's great.
Nice.
Anywho, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Wait, Chase.
Yes.
Something terrible's happened.
What happened?
I'm using the wrong microphone on Audacity. Usually when I have this one plugged in and I pull up Audacity, it defaults to this one.
Sure.
But today it chose the shitty speaker, the shitty microphone on the speaker, on the cam.
Well, I'm glad that we have this part where I'm going to switch over the inputs and you're suddenly going to sound much better.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on here.
We're back again.
We're back. We're back again. Hello, everybody. It's me. That was actually fake vid. Been a silly.
Wow.
That wasn't me. That was a doppelganger.
Who's also been playing the same games that you have.
Playing the same games as me and just has a very terrible microphone setup. But I'm back. Here I am, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the true podcast, our true form.
Yeah, I was finally able to break free from my restraints in the background. I don't know if you could hear it, but I was struggling hard. The shackles came loose, and I tackled my doppelganger, and he was out here to embarrass me with his poor audio quality.
He was still doing a fine job doing a podcast. It was just he was like, you're going to hear how bad my audio sounds.
It's going to sound like I'm living in a tin can.
Okay, Podtimists Think of the Week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What is it?
Okay. So I'm going to do my very best to keep this above board and not lose my shit.
Okay.
But
yes,
this weekend was incredibly difficult for me personally in my personal life. I had to put down a beloved dog of ours. And it's been like super challenging, and I don't want to have this be like a really bummer part, but I think there is good in this. My Podtimists Thing of the Week is the soothing effect of video games for me. Like, I don't know that there's a right way to deal with like grief or pain in any way. But I guess my go-to is just like sort of be sad for a while and then try and, give yourself a little bit of levity and ease and then, feel whatever other feelings you've got. And yeah, that's what I've been doing with video games. It was hard this weekend, and like sort of after feeling feelings and stuff like that, I was just like wiped out and was like, God, I just would love to kind of let my brain do something else. And so just popped on Mass Effect and went and looked for iridium and launched some probes onto various planets.
Nice.
Yeah. And like I was thinking about this, and like this has been a thing that I've done for a very long time. Video games have always definitely been like a thing that I can do that will sort of like let me just be outside my brain for a little while. Very much I'm prone to being a sad dude. And so like, my idle mind is a real bastard. And so if I can just sort of like give it something to chew on, it's really helpful to like, if something bad is going on, let me pop on something and just kind of work through this in a way that feels not necessarily like escapism or anything like that. It's just like give me a moment of relief. We kind of talked about this with like the nostalgia episode that we did, in the way that like it's not you're trying to ignore the problems. It's just like it's soothing. It feels good to do, and like comfort in an otherwise pretty hard time.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's I hope that's not too dour, but it was a challenging time, and I'm really glad that like I have this tool that's allowed me to both soothe myself and also do a podcast that I love doing. And like, I don't know, just video games rule.
They do.
It brings a lot of very cool stuff to my life. So I know that's pretty broad, but I've been a mess the past couple of days. So yeah. Sorry if my brain is all over the place, but here we are.
Well, thank you for sharing, Chase.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
And now how am I ever supposed to follow that? Chase.
So I like the boats in Assassin's
I like it when I go
Creed.
fast.
In Burnout, where you just totally demolish another car, that's my thing.
When I was 13 and boob physics were a thing, that was real cool. That's old Chud David talking. Old Chudvid.
I give you full permission to totally just put up an absolute brick if you need to.
Thank you.
It's all good. I don't need you to also have a heartfelt moment here.
No, here's this very heartfelt, profound way that video games affect your life, and then here's David over here, just farting up a storm.
That. It can be both.
No, my Podtimistic thing this week is really challenging platforming segments of games.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Spoiler alert for something we're going to be talking about in a second here. Actually, I won't say the game, but played a game recently.
Yeah.
And there were some platforming segments in it in an otherwise first-person action game that were phenomenally difficult for me.
pretty hard, yeah.
But at the same time, when something is that difficult and the controls are that shoddy for that activity in a game, there's just something that really tickles me about how bad I am about it. There were a couple of times where I just got to the very last jump of a segment and just biffed it.
Fucked it up, yeah.
Just biffed it so hard, multiple times.
Yeah.
And it was just the funniest thing. It was just the funniest thing to me. And I appreciated the fact that I've come to this point in my life where I can laugh at that kind of stuff as opposed to just gamer raging about it, which is good. So yeah, it's good times to challenge yourself and just be able to laugh at yourself sometimes. It's good. Good for you.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of other like difficult platforming stuff because like I feel like that there's all of the 2D platformers. That's a whole thing.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more about like games that don't necessarily need the platforming element in them. It's just kind of like put in there in an otherwise just normal first-person shooter game.
Yeah, like maybe unnecessary.
Maybe a little unnecessary, but still fun in their own unique way.
Yeah, there was a lot of games like that, I feel like, in like kind of the N64 PlayStation 2 era where they were like, hey, so we've been doing platformers for like 10 years and like we're kind of just trying out this first person shooter thing. I think we should still put some maybe platforming in here though.
Yeah. The action platformer had a rough beginning. A rough beginning in the video game world. But it's come a long way.
What's that? There was that video game that came out, Ghost Runner. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's like a first-person action like platformer that like really does it up right. It took a long time for 3D platformers to like figure it out, but like they really did. There are some really, really great ones. I think this one stands out to me as kind of recent. Ghost Runner.
Yeah.
I think. Oh God, what was that game?
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge. Thank you.
I never played that one, but I always wanted to give it a try, but just never got around to it.
It was pretty good. It was a pretty good game.
They had a sequel too, didn't they? Mirror's Edge 2? Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. I'd have to check on that. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool games like this. I think Titanfall 2 did a really good job of like the action platforming as well.
Surprising turn in that game. That was fun.
Or I think honestly, a big part of it is the wall run. I think games figured out that wall running is cool in first-person shooter games.
Yeah, and it works well.
Yeah. And like that just has to be part of it, I think.
Oh, Dishonored, I think, did this well
too.
Yeah.
Dishonored had a great wall run and like you could really, get around people. Thought that was great.
Yeah. Do they have a wall run or do they have a teleport? I can't remember.
There was definitely a blink, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good game.
This game looks pretty fucking good if I'm being honest.
I've heard only good things about Ghost Runner.
Yeah.
Is it a PC only game? It
is for everything.
PlayStation 5, baby.
Yeah, I bet it looks juicy on PS5. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to watch how that stuff evolved over the years, because it feels like early on it was just like, well, we have to put platforming in here versus like, this is the thing we're doing in this video game. Well, hell yeah. Do you want to move on to our main thing, dude?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, hey, it's Good Games.
Hey, it's back.
It is the segment where we talk about all the okayest and, at this point, just good games of yesteryear. Gush all the things that we love about them. And sometimes we imagine what they might look like today. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just talk about all that good shit.
Sometimes we just do what we want. Deal with it.
I don't know why we're so defensive of this part. We're always like, I'm fucking whatever, dude. We'll do it.
If you don't like it, there's the door, baby.
It's fine. It's just a podcast segment. It's nobody's threatening us.
This is our podcast.
Nobody's like written in like, dude, what the fuck did you guys do? What were they thinking?
Talk to your manager?
Hideo Kojima?
Oh, if Hideo Kojima was our manager, I'd be okay with that.
I would also be okay with this, but I would worry that the time that I would need to put into this podcast would be significant. I bet Hideo would want us to record like 24-hour straight podcasts.
He would want us to record 24 one-hour podcasts and then just overlay them over each other. It's a Strand type podcast. You don't get it. You don't get it, baby.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
Okay, so we're going to do a Good Games about a game called Turok Dinosaur Hunter. As you were suggesting before, a first-person shooter in an era where first-person shooters were not quite figured out yet.
No, they weren't. But it still had some good bits.
It definitely does. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But before we get too far, can I hit you with a couple of hot stats, David?
Oh, please.
Cool.
Hot stats.
So, Turok Dinosaur Hunter came out March 4th of 1997. So like kind of early in the N64 release.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was one of like a handful of games on shelves for a little while.
Yeah.
It was like, Mario 64, Mario Kart, and like Turok was like definitely one of the games that was there.
It was the Sackboy's adventure of its time, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's like not a launch title, but like maybe one of the first few to be like, okay, here's the thing that we're doing. So it was made by Acclaim Studios Austin, which itself used to be Iguana Entertainment. It's like, it's just sort of it's a video game company. God,
it is a video game company. Surprise, surprise.
Dude, my brain is on another planet today.
You really just, you spilled your heart, so I understand. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Thank you. So they made such classic hits as Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball. Love that one.
Frank Thomas was probably one of the best names for like a big old burly power hitting baseball player ever. Two first names, Frank Thomas. He has the power of two men, Frank and Thomas.
All Franks and all Thomases. It's like Goku when he's charging up a spirit ball. All the Franks and Thomases give him his strength.
Just the Franks and Thomases of the world. That's probably like 75% of the strength there already.
It's all there. Those are all the strong dudes.
And Thomases. And then Frank Thomas is about a good 70% of that 75%. So strong man.
He's already going Super Saiyan on his own. Maybe that's who we should put in the stew, the video game stew.
Frank Thomas? He's in a video game.
Big burly dude, yeah.
All right, Barrett, get out of there. Frank Thomas is coming in. Gets turned in the jacuzzi.
I think there should be a sequel called Frank Thomas Teaches Cooking. It's like Cooking Mama. Or it's just Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas teaches cooking. Okay.
Teaches stew making.
Teaches stew making. Does it come with like a peripheral? That's just like a stovetop? Or maybe it'll be like, what is that? What was that game? Rocksmith, where you just hook up your stovetop to the PlayStation and it just reads what you're doing?
It knows what you're cooking. This tastes like ass. Not good food.
Yeah. You need to put the dial halfway between the 5 and the 6, not 3/4 of the way between the 5 and the 6. All right, you're gonna.
I said medium high heat, not medium high heat.
Are you a fool?
Anyway, so we look forward to seeing Frank Thomas big fun cook baseball coming soon. big fun meal
cook baseball buck hunter.
Frank Thomas's big buck hunter, then do a good cook on the buck hunter. Baseball.
Do a good cook on the buck. That sounds like a lyric for some reason.
Do a cook on the book?
The buck.
Do a cook on the buck. Yeah, it's like some like euphemism that like I just don't have any context to, but like definitely means something super hard as fuck.
Sounds like a Tyler lyric. You're not going to do it this time.
We're both staring at each other like, are you gonna take it?
Your Tyler is way better than mine. You don't got to do it. I'm not going to pressure you. Don't do it, Chase.
My main issue is that I can't really remember the lyric.
You don't. It's over. The joke is past.
Moment
it had its moment. We whiffed it. We're moving on.
Oh God. Okay, so they made that game. They also made Iggy's Wreckin' Balls, the classic bowling video game for N64. Did you ever play Iggy's Wreckin' Balls?
Not at all. I didn't even. That's the first time I've ever heard of this game.
Let me show you the cover, because you may have just like seen it at a Blockbuster.
For sure. Oh, Blockbuster. It's a name I haven't heard in many ages.
Good old Iggy's Wreckin' Ball.
Oh my God. That's terrifying, actually.
It's very 2000s. These covers are pretty spooky.
Oh, is this like a Super Monkey Ball type deal?
I thought it was a bowling game, if I'm being honest. Was there not a fucking bowling mode?
There might have been, but it doesn't look like it's the main thing.
It looks like a racing game. What was bowling N64? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? I am thinking of Milo's Astro Lanes. Oh my God.
Milo's Astro Lanes.
Similar to Iggy's Wreckin' Ball, but a different game altogether.
I could see how they would be in the same like section, but pretty different.
They're both owned by a person, Milo's and Iggy's, and Astro Lanes versus Wreckin' Balls. I mean, a bowling ball is a wrecking ball.
That's true. It's close.
So anyway, They made Iggy's Wrecking Balls, not Milo's Astrolanes.
There you go.
They also made, the South Park video games for Sony PlayStation and N64.
Oh.
They made Showdown Legends of Wrestling, which was a very good wrestling game. Love that one.
You like that one, huh?
Love that one.
All right.
And also Vex. Do you remember Vex?
Is that like a ripoff of Gex?
I don't know if quite that it's like that deep, but let me show you the cover. This is also one you may be like, oh yeah.
Like the word vex, like vexing?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The bargle bin of mascots right there.
Yeah.
Digging deep.
Yeah. It's absolutely the bargle bin. Just sort of like an edgy early 2000s
Early
attempt at
2000s edginess. That was the thing.
Yeah.
He's got like the emo haircut. Oh man.
So yeah, they made those games, and they also made Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
Dinosaur Hunter. Always a good thing to have in a game. Hunting dinos.
I was thinking about how dinosaurs and dinosaurs fighting is genuinely kind of just an easy topic to do. They don't exist. They're not going to exist. You don't really feel bad fighting dinosaurs because they're very threatening.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
So it's just an easy enemy to put in a video game. I think it's pretty enjoyable. Anyway, I do have a review here from the outlet PC Player.
Ooh,
which I believe is an outlet from Germany.
New kid on the block.
New kid, yeah. We got a fresh meat here.
Fresh meat.
What kind of review you're gonna put down, PC Player?
Yeah. What? This is your first shot to impress us, PC Player.
Spit your best bars. I have taken their review, which I believe was originally in German, and I've run it through the Google Translate feature and have mangled it beyond belief. I've run it through every language I could find and then spat it back out in English. So let's see what they had to say after being translated a lot.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Turok is definitely one of the video games right now. Accelerate your 3D animation. Your competitors' visuals. No, you're fine. Your competitors' visuals and images more than ever. Even on a weak computer, the waterfall suddenly crashes and lifts up the spiderweb to give you an idea of 3D scaling performance. Oh. Their weapons and actions are only growth. And this is about to be the last sentence. This is a good one. When a tree sinks in the water, it brings joy.
That's it?
That's it.
The first sentence was pretty damn good.
Turok is definitely one of the video games right now. Just no context.
Just a fact. This is how I'm starting off this review. It's definitely a video game right now.
Turok Dinosaur Hunter is a video game.
It sounds like if Dwight Schrute had written that review.
Just a statement of fact about what is happening.
Statements of facts about how the game is, how it runs. No opinions. It is your birthday. Period. Just facts.
So yeah, that's a review of it from PC Player. Thanks for that one, PC Player.
Good one.
David, do you want to explain what Turok Dinosaur Hunter for the N64 is?
Yeah, so you're Turok, who is a Native American, I believe.
Yes, a time-traveling warrior, as the Wikipedia states.
Yeah.
His real name is Tal Set, by the way. Turok, I found out, was a title.
Oh, I had no idea.
Neither did I. I thought that was just his name, but
Interesting.
Apparently Turok is the name of the thing he does, I think.
Well, there's really no exposition for the game at all. You just
throw
right in.
Absolutely not.
Buck Bumble had more exposition than this one. But you're Turok, or Tal Set, who is the Turok. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
A Turok?
I think so.
Oh, anyways, but you are a time traveler, and you are in the Jurassic Cretaceous something period with dinos, and you go around shooting them and other homies who are there with guns. So it's a first-person game. Yep. So you have a knife and a bow and arrow to start off with, and you get different guns as you run around the level. But pretty much you're just running around the level trying to find keys and opening up different areas to move on to the next level, while also trying to kill either dinosaurs or people who are trying to attack you. Yep. And there's some light platforming elements that are also thrown in the game with varying degrees of success, in my opinion. But
yeah, sure.
That's pretty much the game as far as I can suss it out.
Totally. I think you're pretty much spot on there. It's I don't think so. I think it's definitely in that like early N64 first person shooter genre. Like there's some stuff that they did here that I think like works a little bit better than maybe like a GoldenEye or something, but there's also stuff that doesn't do quite as well. Like the platforming stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much spot on. You said you played this a little bit in the last like recently.
I did. Yeah.
How was it returning to it?
It was surprisingly still pretty fun. You know, I was having a good time with it. I was playing it on my mouse and keyboard. And actually, I mean, just my keyboard because the mouse doesn't work for the emulator I use.
Yeah, cool.
So I've gotten, after, what game was I playing? Jet Force Gemini. I've gotten really good at flicking my keys to aim when I need to.
So brutal.
There was this one section where I was platforming around, and then this guy started throwing grenades at me while I was precariously perched on top of a platform. And I had
Whoa. Hold on. That was an alliteration mouthful, David. Precariously perched on a platform? My goodness.
Alliteration, baby. That's my game.
Jesus, really putting it down over there. Poet laureate Mr. Benavides.
I need you to appreciate. You love a good alliteration, Chase.
I sure do. Damn, that blew my skirt up. That was wild, man.
Blew your skirt up. Getting sexual with this level of alliteration. Damn. Anyways, I was precariously perched on a platform.
Yeah.
And I had to perform a pinpoint precision shot. I couldn't think of any way to put a P in there. On this guy. And I was just like, okay, I the tiger. And I just timed it perfectly. Just one shot kill. It felt great.
Wow.
But there were a lot of other times where I tried to do it and I just failed terribly. So
yeah, sure.
It's tough. But no, it was enjoyable. I didn't realize or remember as a child how quick you move as Turok. You are jamming through the jungle as Turok. You were just full out sprinting everywhere. It feels very Doom-esque in that way. It's kind of like a very stereotypical like early first-person shooter way to move around, but definitely gives it a sense of speed and viscerality that is it's welcome.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree that like the speed of it's pretty wild. I guess we're just into the gushing segment now, but yeah, it's the speed of it's crazy. Like you're really moving. I think like that's a pretty fun thing that first person shooters like kind of moved away from for a little while. That like Doom and Quake were like, hey, let's move really fast. Like in Doom, you can turn on the like auto run essentially. Like there's a button you can push to run, but you can just have that on all the time and you're just flying through those levels so fast. And like kind of in the reboot of Doom recently, they're like, actually, let's let you move very quickly again. And that feels really good. It's fun to see it done pretty well like this back then because it definitely gets you moving and grooving. Yeah. And there's a lot of like defense you can use by just like going pretty fast.
It's true. You can really get away from like the dinos or the homies pretty quick.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree that like the controls and like the game feel of just moving was pretty good for something that was, came out in 1997.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else that was really good? I liked the guns felt decent.
Yeah,
there wasn't like a ridiculous amount of auto aim, but there wasn't it wasn't like super hard to hit things. If you were kind of pointing in the general direction, you'd get it, but you still had to aim a little bit, just enough to make it feel like you shot something.
It does feel good. Like I think it is really hard to make a shooter feel good. Like we talked about with Jet Force Gemini, it's hard to make a shooter feel good when you don't have both body and aim movement. You've only got just one stick. And so I think a lot of games had to kind of compensate with that for like with auto aim and stuff like that. So it did do a pretty good job. I was impressed by that.
If I remember correctly, when I was on the N64, it just used the C pad to aim, didn't it? Right?
I think so. I think that was the case, but
if I remember correctly, I don't remember.
A little unfamiliar. I can't quite remember. Yeah. So yeah, I liked how wild the story is in this game.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty nuts. I took down the like wiki explanation of what the story is. It's not particularly long. It just said the player assumes control of Talset, and then in parentheses Turok, a Native American time-traveling warrior. This mantle of Turok is passed down every generation to the eldest male. Each Turok is charged with protecting the barrier between Earth and the Lost Land, a primitive world where time has no meaning. The Lost Land is inhabited by a variety of creatures from dinosaurs to aliens. An evil overlord known as the Campaigner seeks an artifact known as the Chronoscepter, a weapon so powerful the Campaigner plans on using a focusing array to magnify the Chronoscepter's power, destroying the barrier that separates the ages of time and rule the universe. Turok vows to find the Chronoscepter's 8 pieces and prevent the Campaigner's schemes.
Wow.
Just nuts, man. It's a weirdly like high fantasy, almost sci-fi sort of thing going on in there.
I'd say it's definitely sci-fi. Time traveling, the Campaigner, Chronoscepter. That's
Chronoscepter is a fucking
Chronoscepter's dope.
I love when video games and like media put a lot of work into naming something just overwhelmingly cool.
Names have power, man.
They make no bones about it of like, this is just a cool name for a thing.
Oops.
For the listeners, David just decided to yeet his computer, turned it off.
I got so excited by Turok, I decided to turn my computer off. It's the podcast equivalent of a mic drop.
Yeah, you were like, fuck this, and dropped your computer on the ground.
I'm out.
Yeah, really, I'm sure this is just going to sound like a shiny, uninterrupted podcast, but we're really cramming all the technical difficulties into one episode. Jesus.
This is the Nier Automata of episodes now.
Oh, I wish we had that episode.
It's just going to be the lost files.
What if I wonder what would happen if we tried to re-record it and like do it beat for beat the same thing, what that would look like. I feel like Yoko Taro might support us doing that vision. That's route B of us recording that episode.
So it's the tribute to our podcast of Nier Automata. We're taking the Tenacious D route on this one.
Couldn't remember the greatest podcast in the world.
It couldn't remember itself, really.
Yeah, true.
It was haunted for some reason. That was the scariest part.
Anyway, so the Chronoscepter, I think maybe that's the issue. We were talking about the Chronoscepter and your computer was like, no, don't bring that up.
They can't know about this.
So the story was pretty neat. It's pretty cool. I always love a good, like, fuck you, we're just going to make this crazy world. Love that stuff. And that was cool. I don't feel like they were particularly sensitive to like Native American representation in the game.
No, he was kind of a caricature. He was pretty stereotypical.
Yeah. And so like that part of it has aged pretty poorly and, probably wasn't great to begin with. So
yeah, that
part of it's a little rough, but I think, the story, the like sci-fi and fantasy parts of it are pretty enjoyable. Otherwise, in an otherwise kind of bummer portrayal. So yeah, what else about this game? What else can we gush about this one?
I appreciated the sound effects in the music on the first level, especially I'm guessing, saber-toothed tiger sound that was so loud in comparison to everything else. You'd just be running along and be like, do, and it's just at the top of its lungs. It's so much louder than the rest of the audio. Did you encounter this?
Yeah, somebody must have forgot to compress that audio file. It's just blaring.
It's so loud. And it's just I'm guessing the public file sound of like a large cat roaring.
Yeah.
It's just the one that you hear in every song ever.
It's the Wilhelm scream of cats.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just so loud every time.
That's funny. Yeah, it's the sounds were pretty funny. I know the one you're talking about. It was overwhelmingly loud.
Yeah. Anything else that was good? I liked the little portally portions. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
but difficult.
Yes,
very difficult. Yeah, needlessly difficult. Some may say. But a nice change up.
Yeah.
You can just kind of go in there and get some upgrades or health or ammo or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was like, it's pretty straightforward, but like, I think it is, there's been this like, sorry, my brain is on fire. I think we have talked about this a little bit before, how there is like sort of this resurgence of like kind of the old school, early PC, kind of almost PlayStation 1 era shooters that have come out recently. This one's kind of similar. Looks like the name of this one is Dread Templar. It's like,
sure,
got this kind of like lo-fi visual style and like definitely a focus on, the intensity of a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
Sort of looks like something out of this era, right?
Most definitely. This is a new game?
Yes.
So PS1 era games are the new 16-bit, 8-bit games, huh?
I guess so. I think I'm not sure like if this stuff is just kind of keep coming in cycles, or if like the people who played this when they were 10 are now 30 or whatever and like want to make these games. I do find it much more interesting when it is somebody who was like not alive during this, is like, I would love to return to this kind of aesthetic. So let's see. This one's called Wrath, Aeon of Ruin, which is a fucking mouthful.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Lots of different takes on Doom, it feels like.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I can't remember exactly what they cite. There's like another game that I was not quite as familiar with that I wish I could remember like what it was called, because it's Doom, Quake, and like a handful of other like kind of first person shooters from back in the day that like a lot of these games are deriving influence from.
And GoldenEye or something like that.
It's something else. I can't remember. I'll try and look this up so I can have context on it in the next episode, because I feel like we do talk about this frequently enough. But yeah, they sort of take this like early shooter take on these games where there's like kind of a lo-fi aesthetic to it. I think there's just a lot of people who like see the aesthetic and the design direction that first person shooters have gone and said like, hey, we're kind of forgetting about this other direction. That is pretty fun. And like, I appreciate that there's variety in like the interpretation here.
Variety is the spice of life.
True. Anyway, so it's interesting to play Turok under that kind of context, because it's like kind of among this other first person shooter aesthetic of like things being very quick and like not necessarily based on like just aiming down iron sights and shooting some soldiers or something like that. It's a little bit
new Call of Duty.
Yeah, pretty much. Or even like Halo, I guess. Like Halo's a lot closer to Call of Duty than it is to Turok.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little slower.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really interesting to revisit this under the current context as our kind of whole podcast is structured around.
That's our thing.
That's our whole shtick.
It's our shtick.
Let me see. Do you have anything else you want to say about this game?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's fun.
It is good. I had a good time revisiting it, more than I expected to. I think this was like kind of a well-reviewed game. And so like, I'm not super surprised that it held up as well as it does, but I was expecting it to be worse than I think it ended up being.
Yeah, same. Because I remember not having a huge amount of fun with it as a kid. I think it was just too hard for me back then.
Probably. I suspect the same thing, because I think bounced off of it when I was younger, like, oof, too much. Whereas like maybe somebody who played Doom a lot or Quake a lot would have been like, hell yeah, this is
my jam.
Yeah. And dinos, man. Dinos, you can never go wrong with dinos in video games. It's always good.
Do you think that the people who made Horizon were like, how can we make Turok for the modern day? Robot dinos. Bringing this into the 21st century. Here we go. Even further.
Okay, cool. Well, that felt kind of like a short one. Was that short?
This episode? No, it's been at least an hour and 10 minutes now.
No, I just mean like a short good game. I don't know.
It's like I'm not 15 or 20 minutes, I think.
I'm not drinking tonight, so I'm wondering if just like my sense of pod length is warped.
I think you're good. I think we're good.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your words of affirmation, David.
Yeah, it may be a little short, but that's fine.
The fans don't care.
They just want to hear our voices, baby.
Outro. Hello outro segment.
It's me, Chase. Hello outro.
We are on Twitter. If you would like to contact us there, we are at Podtimism. So you can reach out and speak to us if you would like to on that forum. Yeah. God, dude.
That's it. Podcast is over.
End of episode. Jesus. Okay, but no, how about something else? If you would like to support the show, then you can do so by a couple of ways. You can either leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I think that is a thing that helps. More importantly, you can show it to a person that you think might like the podcast and say, hey, I like this. Maybe you like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's okay if they don't like it too.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're if anything, we're real stinkers. It's hard to get, not palatable.
Hard to get into us. Get into us, yeah.
Just unpalatable, rough podcast. Very niche content.
Mm-hmm. Hard to get into, but once you're in it, hard to get out.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
You have to show us to 5 more friends, otherwise you're in the hole.
I'm sorry, honey. I have to listen to 5 more episodes of Video Game Podtimism tonight. I just wasn't able to show somebody else.
They really got me by the cojones right now.
So yeah, and 2 more things from there. 1, thanks for being here with us. I appreciate you. Really love having you here, spending your ear minutes with us this week. And we love and support you. And then just on a personal note, would love to dedicate this here episode to my wonderful dog, Quiche.
For Quiche.
She was the best dog, and I love her very much. So that's where I'm at this week.
She was a real one. I met Quiche.
Yeah, she was great. She was a sleepy little Boston Terrier.
Sweet dog. Used little stairs to get up to the couch.
Yeah, she was not so good at yeeting herself on the couch.
No.
Much preferred the slow climb of a stair.
Just a slow ascent.
Yeah, for sure. So wanted to give that a shout out. David, do you have any gaming wisdom?
I do.
Might you tell me?
Sometimes we run through life with the speed of Turok, the dinosaur hunter. But sometimes you need to just slow down a bit and appreciate the finer, smaller things in life.
True.
Like a little quiche dog.
Yep.
And appreciate them. So I guess the wisdom this week is slow down, you goons, and appreciate the things that are there for you.
Hell yeah. That feels nice. I've been a mess all day, David. Oh, Jesus.
I'm impressed you did it today. This is still fresh.
Yeah. It's, for better or worse, podcasting is definitely a comforting thing to do these days.
Good. I'm glad. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I can be an outlet for you, my friend.
Well, this week, we're ending on a note of friendship.
Friendship and Jerry Seinfeld.
Jesus. We almost got through it without mentioning the cursed old one.
It's Jerry Seinfeld is the old one?
He is. Yeah, I had suggested this a few weeks ago, and I think it's...
No, you're right. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, the sort of... The timing of his comedy, his sort of hairstyle,
the yada yada, the puffy shirts,
the gigantic and mind-rending size of him.
Yeah,
his many tentacles.
If you really look at him for like more than a couple seconds, you lose your sanity.
Difficult to look at. That's what they always say.
To look at. That's what they always say about me. I'm difficult to look at. That's my Jerry.
Okay, bye.
See ya.